What's going on, guys? Eric here and welcome to the channel. In this video I'm going to show you how to make these cool custom and unique LED based and acrylic night lights without doing any etching, but instead using vinyl. So in this video, I'll show you not only how to make a custom LED based acrylic nightlight like this, I'll talk about how much this project costs to do, about how long it might take you to do, and if you wanted to make custom nightlights for others as a service, how much you might be able to charge to do this for others. Alright guys, to get started, so you can see I've got the design already loaded up in my Silhouette Studio. I'm using Designer Edition. And so here's the design itself. I've already converted it to a path, so it's an actual object that's traceable and cuttable by the Cameo 3 machine, which I'll be using to cut out the vinyl. I've already pre-sized this since I know that the acrylic sheet is about 5.5 inches tall by about 5.25 wide. I went ahead and basically set this up so that it would fit in the or on the sheet centered nicely with a little bit of space all the way around. And so you can see in the box here, I have it at a height of 4.75 inches or 4.75 inches by 4.5 inches wide for the design itself. I just have it colored in black so it's a little bit easier to see. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead, I've already selected it, you can see the box around it, and I'm going to go ahead and mirror and flip this horizontally. And the reason I'm doing this is because I want to reverse cut it, almost like I'm cutting heat transfer vinyl to put on a shirt or something like that. And the reason why you want this reverse cut or inverse cut is because you're essentially going to put the decal on the back side of the acrylic. I have found that the light that shines up through the acrylic, if you put this on the front side, the light's behind, if you will, the graphic itself, and so it doesn't quite highlight as much, versus if you do it inverse and put the graphic vinyl on the back side, and that way the light that shines through the acrylic shines across the front face of the vinyl itself and highlights or lights up the vinyl as if it looks like it was etched. And so that's the reason why I have this inversed or flipped horizontally. So once you've got your design all set up and ready to go ahead and hit send. Make sure that you have your cut settings set up appropriately. On the right here, you can see that I've got it set to just cutting vinyl glossy. I'm just using Oracal 651, so default settings of depth of blade 1 with a force of 10 and a speed of 5 seems to work perfectly fine for me on my Cameo 3 with Oracal 651 glossy vinyl. You might have to adjust your settings accordingly. I'm using a ratchet blade. I've already got my blade set to 1. You can use an auto blade if you prefer, whatever. The point is make sure that your settings are correct. Make sure your machine is connected and ready to go before you load up to your cutting mat if you use that, and then load into your machine. And when you're ready to go ahead and hit send so that your machine will cut out the vinyl. Alright, so I've already sent my graphic to my Cameo 3 and it's cut it out. I've taken it off on my Cameo 3 and you can see I'm going ahead and starting to weed out the excess vinyl from the graphic itself, just taking my time. This graphic had a lot of small details in it, so I'm taking my time trying to get all those little bits and pieces out of there. I'm using an X-Acto knife as my my weeding tool. That's my preferred tool for weeding because it has a very sharp pointed tip, so I could stab the very small pieces, and then I kind of just flick it up a little bit to lift it up. And then I also, because it is a knife, I do have a blade that's already at the ready so that I can cut the vinyl if I need to as I'm weeding it out, say in case a piece gets too long or too big and it starts to try to want to grab onto the vinyl itself. If you are using an X-Acto knife like I am using, just be careful. It is a knife. The blade is razor sharp. The tip is extremely pointy and extremely sharp. And so be careful so as that you don't cut yourself or anybody else around you or damage your graphic that you've cut out. And so now you can see I've just about finished weeding this out. Sorry, the lighting's a little bit too much. It's glaring a bit, but this is what the weeded graphic looks like. Alright, so the next step is to put transfer tape onto the graphic so you can put it onto the acrylic sheet. I've got a piece of transfer tape already cut out, just kind of placing it right over real gently and then using my squeegee to firmly press it on, squeeze out any bubbles. Really want to make sure that this is applied very well. Again, just use a piece that's slightly bigger, have a squeegee at the ready. I did mount my decal to my board there so that it wouldn't curl up on me. And so this is now, the graphic is ready to go with the transfer tape applied to it to apply to the acrylic sheet. All right, so with the graphic ready to go, it's time to get your acrylic sheet ready for applying the graphic to it. Mine has these two, both sides of it are covered in this protective, peelable paper coating. So you can see I'm just carefully peeling that away. Be careful because the acrylic can scratch easily if you're not careful with it. So peel that away carefully. Just do the one side for now, leave the protective coating on the other. Next, you can get ready to apply your graphic. You can see that I'm trying to kind of center where I want the graphic to go. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to peel back just a little bit across the top there, the backing paper, and then cut off a strip of the backing paper. And what it's going to do is leave a little bit of the pre-mask exposed so that I can essentially create an anchor or a hinge once I've got the graphic where I want it to be. Now, remember earlier I said inverse is cut, so this is essentially I'm applying to the back, or what will be the back of the acrylic sheet. Once I found where I want to put this on, just go ahead and anchor that top strip there. And so now I've created essentially a hinge. I can lift it up as you see in the video, and then basically hold that up and apply the graphic down nice and easily and carefully. You don't want to get any bubbles in this so that you can have that etched look in the end. Once you've got that fully off the backing paper, make sure you very well press down that vinyl onto the acrylic sheet. Again, you don't want any bubbles in these because they will show up in once the graphic is lit by the LED base. Once you've had it pressed down really well, make sure you go ahead and peel off the transfer tape. Be very careful. You can see that I'm kind of taking my time. I'm holding it very flat and low, and I'm kind of trying to roll it off the vinyl and doing it very slowly so that if anything does lift, I can catch it right away and stop it from lifting. So go ahead and take your time. Be careful. You don't want to do all this work and then mess it up right here onto the acrylic sheet, especially if you have to remove the vinyl, which you then risk scratching the acrylic sheet later for a redo. So go ahead and continue on trying to take that off. And so you can see I'm just about done here, taking this little last piece off there, and there you go. And the graphic is now applied to the acrylic sheet. The next step is then peel the protective coating off the back side, and so you can see that I just put a paper towel there on the other side to protect the acrylic as I peel this off. And again, just take your time, peel very slowly, very carefully so not to scratch the acrylic. I started in the base area, just like on the other side, where that it inserts into the LED part. So if I do have scratches picking away at the edge, it's going to be in a part that's going to be covered anyway. So you can see I'm just peeling off that other protective coating, and then that will fully reveal the acrylic sheet with the graphic on it. And then here I'll lift it up in just a second so you can see now it looks like a acrylic sheet with an etched graphic on the sheet. And the very last thing to do is go ahead and put your acrylic sheet into the base of the nightlight, just as I did there. I'm going to adjust the camera here. You get a little better view. Sorry I have a white background there. I didn't realize it until afterwards. But I'm going to go ahead and turn it on as you saw, and then turn out the lights, and then you'll see that this looks like one of those etched nightlights. Pretty cool how it changes color. With the white, it really accentuates the different colors of light. And most people will think that this is an etched one, but it's actually made using vinyl. Alright guys, so let's talk about how long this project might take you to do. So there are a couple elements that you're going to have to consider in the time it takes to do this project, starting all the way from the design part of it, all the way to applying the graphic onto the acrylic piece, the acrylic sheet. Now in the design part, it may take you just a couple minutes if you have something that's already easily traceable, that you've already taken care of as far as editing and whatever else you might need or want to do to it. It could take you hours to do if you're doing something kind of complex and might need a lot of editing. I know for me, it was a simple one that I already found online, was able to trace it really quickly, so it only took like a minute or two to refine the design into something that I was happy with. As far as cutting the design out, it took my Cameo just a couple minutes there as well. Weeding actually took about 4 or 5 minutes simply because of some of the difficulty of this very, very small intricate pieces in there, and then applying the actual design onto the acrylic sheet. So all in all, for me, it took about 15 minutes start to finish to do this project. It may take you more or less time depending on your skill level, the intricacy of the design, if everything goes according to plan, because if you might mess up in the middle of the process and have to do some rework, whether it's your Cameo jams up while it's cutting, maybe as you're weeding it out, some of the vinyl gets bundled up on itself and tears or whatever. So you'll have to consider those things as well. But on the whole, for me, this particular project took about 15 minutes from start to finish. Okay, so let's talk about how much this project might cost you to do. And so there's a couple of pieces here. You're going to have your vinyl itself that's being applied. You've got the acrylic plate, and then you have the LED base, nightstand base, or a nightlight base. So on Amazon, I'll have links in the description below. This nightlight base, you can get a 4-pack for around $24.50 to $25. So individually, that works out to be about $6.25, maybe six and some change dollars, US dollars per base. And the one that I got comes with the base. It's battery operated, but it also comes with a USB plug-in port. You just have to get your own wall charger for it, and a little remote. And so for 4 of them, it's about $24.50, $25. So it's about $6.25 per base. For the acrylic sheets, the ones that I bought, again, links will be in the description. The 4-pack of this sheet, which I think is like 5.5 inches tall by 5.25 wide, with a slot in the bottom to go directly into these bases. Cost about $12 to $13 for a 4-pack. And so if you divide that out per individual acrylic base or acrylic sheet, it's about $3.25-ish, or maybe a little bit more per sheet. So on the whole, just for the acrylic and the base, it's just under $10, maybe $9.50 odd cents US. As far as the vinyl goes, I used Oracal 651, and so and the amount that I used was about a 6-inch square by 6-inch square. That gave me plenty of excess extra all the way around. If I broke it out, the cost per square inch, it's really only a few pennies. I think 2 cents or 3 cents worth based on the entire roll that I got. When I break it out, cost per square inch. So let's just call it like 2 or 3 cents worth of vinyl that I ended up using. And so it's almost negligible as far as adding to the cost of this actual project itself. You can add in the cost of the transfer tape too, but again, that's, for the amount of transfer tape that I ended up using, it's pennies worth of it on the whole roll that I bought. So again, very negligible as far as increasing cost. So on the whole, or in total, creating a custom nightlight like this in terms of dollar material cost, you can make one of these for about $10 or less. All right, so now that we've talked about how long it might take you to make this project, about how much it might cost to make the nightlight itself, let's talk about how much you might be able to charge if somebody asked you to make these for them. So you already know the material cost, and it'll cost you about $10 or less to actually make this. So you already have a starting cost there of $10 that you want to make sure that you cover. The other thing that you're going to have to consider is your time. So what's your time worth? Again, for me, it took about 15 minutes start to finish to do this. And so you'll have to figure out, what is my time of 15 minutes worth making each individual one of these. Do I charge $20 an hour and then break it out that way, 15 minutes off of that, a quarter of an hour off of $20 an hour is what, $5. So do I charge $25 total, or $15 total, $10 for the materials and $5 for my time? Or do I charge another $10, which effectively increases my hourly rate? Do you think your hourly rate is worth $30 an hour, or $40 or $50 an hour? Really, you're going to have to determine that, see what your market will bear, see what your customer or client is willing to pay as well. So there's different things you're going to have to factor when determining a price. I know that if you bought one of these night lights off of Amazon, the ones that are etched, that have the acrylic etched in it, they tend to run about $20 to $25 to $30 depending on the design. The one cool thing about doing it with vinyl versus etching it is that when you want to change your design, that vinyl actually, even though it's Oracal 651 permanent vinyl, if you're careful about it, you can actually remove the vinyl and reuse the acrylic sheet if you're careful about it. The acrylic is pretty sensitive. It can scratch fairly easily. So you just have to just be cognizant when you're removing the vinyl. But you still at least have that option, whereas once you've etched the acrylic, that is a permanent thing. Back to this, again, it's about 20-ish to 30-ish dollars if you bought one off of Amazon that's etched. If you make one and then sell it as a custom one, a custom design, maybe customers are willing to pay more or less for it because it's a custom design, not one that they are limited to buying online from Amazon or wherever else they may get this. Alright guys, so I hope you enjoyed this video, maybe learned something new and how to make something kind of cool and unique, a custom LED nightlight for your friends, your family, yourself, your kids, whatever, for customers. So hopefully if you did like this video, be sure to hit that thumbs up button to give it a like. If you haven't subscribed already, go ahead and hit that subscribe button as well, and then hit the bell notification button so that you get notices whenever I post new content to the channel. I'm working on making more new videos along the same lines, whether it's crafting or automotive vinyl, and I'd love to share those videos with you. Thanks again for watching, guys. Have a great day.